everyone. Welcome to our June 11th, 11/11. So excited to be with you all today on our mid-year 11/11. I can't believe the year is half over. And we are here to have a little workshop once a month to talk about values and how to kind of work with our values in our day-to-day life. It's called Living Our Values because we know and have experienced ourselves that when we live in alignment with our values, life feels good, feels better. We have well-being in so many of our affairs. It's not that life is perfect, but we know we have a place to go to kind of get back into alignment when we fall out, which is a natural part of life. And we love to come here to talk about values because we have found that in life, people talk about values, but in a very general way, in a very abstract way. And what we want to do here is to talk with each other and workshop what it means to actually live with values in a concrete way, in a way that's tangible, a way that they can be a tool for us to live our best life. So we wanted to create a space that was non-judgmental, that was open, where we could process curiosity and learn from each other on this journey. And each month we have a theme. This month's theme is aligned abundance. And what does it mean to live in alignment with money and values and well-being, all wrapped up in one beautiful bow? Because right, life is in a beautiful bow. We can tie things up nicely. So I like to start these off by identifying what are core values, because though the word is used often a lot and is considered an important part of life, it's not always clear what they are and how we define them here. So we define core values as single words or short phrases that really reflect what's most important to us. And they connect us to the highest version of ourselves. In that way, I've been thinking about it lately. They connect us to between our humanity and our divine selves. They take us from like the 3D world, what's happening, remind us that we're human living in that world, even with other things coming in like AI, we're still human. and the divine, something bigger than us as well. And the values connect those two things to give us what I call heart worth, like something to really come from our hearts. So they're there for us to use and we don't access them enough. And what we talk about, they connect us, like I said, from how we are out in the world and then who we are with ourselves. So what are some examples of values? We've talked about them in the past: compassion, flourish, connection, integrity. What are some other ones? Accountability, autonomy. Yes, Sheila.
Curiosity.
Curiosity. You know, the list is really, really long. What we hope for you is that you will have your set of values and know what they are, can define them, and then use them throughout your day and life for the big decisions and the little decisions, and help you navigate it so that you find a way that feels good to you, that you find that well-being, that you can, you know, I'm going to say a very California thing, but like vibrate on a higher level. Talk about vibration, right? But we're energy, we're people, we exude energy. And so this is a path to help us live into our best selves and have access to it without having to go to anybody else. We can define what these are, know what they are, and then really use them. So there's nothing more important than, I think, in our world that values money so much, that we connect our values to what that means. Because a lot of times in workshops, people don't want to bring up, they forget about money. They think that's not something where you have a conversation about values. I remember one of the first workshops, someone said, where we asked, what is important to you? And someone kind of rose their hand very slowly and said, money. And I thought it was a great answer, because a lot of times people don't want to admit that, but it is important to all of us, and to varying degrees and to different levels and to what it means. But to connect it with our values, it elevates it to a whole other level. And obviously, it's money in and of itself has many different conflicting and influential pieces to it. But here we're going to talk about values and how they relate to that. And I didn't mean to not say this earlier, but Sheila's here with me to co-facilitate. But I got off on a tangent, too excited and wanted to just jump right in. So hi, Sheila.
Hello, everybody. So excited to have everybody here today. It's a wonderful group, as always.
Great. And Carmelita, you wanted to say hi? You can unmute if you wanted to. You raised your hand.
I was just saying hi to Sheila.
Oh,
hello.
great.
Hello. I haven't seen you in forever. It's so nice to see you again.
Yes. I was moving around. I don't want to interrupt the session. I am here. I want to show my face, but I'm walking, so it gets distracting. So yeah. Okay.
Well, we're happy to have you on camera or off. So, and feel free to jump in as we go through this. So I would love to say, everyone wants to check in and say a quick hi or, what brought them here today. And I would love to hear how you guys are. Who wants to go first?
Well, I am happy to be here. My work schedule changed, so I'm able to actually make it in the daytime now. Yay.
Yay.
Always trying to make it a point to make it on the 11th. So
it's so good to have you. See your beautiful face. That smile, man. That's great. Constance?
Hi, I'm Constance, and I'm happy to be here and good to see all the smiling faces. I love this month's topic. Money is an ongoing project for me, and I love the reminder to keep getting grounded in my values and the different things I do. So
it's great. Thank you. Carmelita, do you want to say any more, or you
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm so excited to be here. It's been a while, and I ran into you, Amy, over the weekend, and it was a good reminder about the lessons that I've learned by taking this course with both you and Sheila. So I'm just happy to be back, and I'm looking forward to continuing the learnings.
Yay, that's so great. It's so meaningful to hear that, because this work the work is intentionally integrated, right? And so we sometimes don't even realize how it kind of seeps in and helps us influence our day to day. I've certainly learned that about myself too, which is why I wanted to do these every month, because it's so important to have the touch point and to really workshop what it means to live our values. It's not something that it becomes forming a new habit in a way. It's a way of thinking that's a little bit different. It's values driven, as opposed to kind of what I have sometimes done, which is just catch as catch can, reactionary would be another way to say it.
I'm just happy I don't have to feel embarrassed that it's taken so long. It's just taken a long time to get this stuff ingrained, So, yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, but it's about slowness. It's about real integration does take time.
Mm-hmm.
Takes a long time. And we're so and long compared to what? So we have a society that values convenience and instant gratification. But real transformation takes time.
Mm-hmm.
And takes repetitiveness and the ability to keep showing up, which is what all of you are doing, and each of you in your own way. So hi, Ella, welcome back.
Mm-hmm.
Glad you're here.
Hi, thank you.
Did you want to say
I had
hi?
to pull into my garage.
No, it's good. Do you want to say a quick hello and why you wanted to come on today?
Sure. I am your daughter. That'll serve as my hello. But I feel like I'm in like a state of needing to make some decisions, and I'm not 100% sure. Even today I have to make a decision and I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. So I was hoping to gain some clarity. And this was, I thought, a great outlet for me to try to do that.
Oh, beautifully
That
said.
was a good opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, my darling. Sweet Ella. So it's good to have all of you here. And this is a really important topic and kind of the root of a lot of it, I think, because it's not really talked about a whole lot. There's a lot of workshops about how to, I was saying this to Sheila before, that there are a lot of workshops about how to increase or make money, get more money, all of those things. And this workshop is just taking a different framework from it. It's talking about how to look at it all really differently and how to be more in alignment wherever you are on the spectrum of your financial abundance, and be able to see more abundance in your life and use your values to make that decision, because the goal is well-being ultimately. I know a lot of people who've made a lot of money and don't have well-being and are not very happy. And I know other people who haven't and are struggling and are still working. For myself too, have times where struggling to find where the abundance is when it feels tight, and then everything in between on all those extremes. And we've heard so many times, like, happiness, money doesn't buy happiness. And so this is something to talk about, but do it while talking about money too, right? Like, because I think that's the important key, because our values, I think there's no more important conversation in the way our world works than attaching our values to money, the pursuit of it, how we spend it, the decisions we make around it, and all of that. Because money ultimately is energy. It's a thing we all made up and agreed to, really, when you think about it. It's doesn't grow out of the ground, although there are money trees, but it's something that ebbs and flows. It doesn't stay consistent or static. It goes up and down, and it does sorts of things. And we make decisions all day long and around on money and how to, financial decisions and take action around money, whether we're paying a bill or buying something at Target, or what to do for investment, or what job to take. They're all related to money. So the first step in all of this, and I have a little, it's not little, I created a guide to work through, and I'll put it in the chat, which is called Aligned Abundance. Now, where did my chat go? Here it is. Okay. I put it in earlier, but sometimes if you come in after the chat, after that, it's not there. So, and this kind of just walks you through some basic steps. It's mostly prompts to ask you questions to think about. So I thought we could kind of go through that. Are there any questions so far about what I'm saying, or how this is a different approach to money than other things? Just wanted to check in. Yeah. Ella?
I don't have a question. It was making me think about one of the panels that I don't know if you missed this part. It was at the Environmental Media Association Summit last week, and they were talking about how money itself is like a neutral energy and a neutral entity. And I don't know if you had maybe said that before I jumped back on the call, but it kind of, I think, is totally a way of thinking about the way that you're talking about and thinking about money is like, we also map on our energy into it, and that kind of functions in its own way too.
Exactly.
But that we also have the power, yeah, and that like money isn't inherently itself good or bad, but it's kind of like adopted all of these different energies.
Absolutely. Yes. That was perfectly aligned with what this framework looks at, because it's not good or bad. It is just energy. And when we look at it through the values lens, it's just, where do we want to direct the energy? Because when we direct it in alignment with our values, it feels good. It feels better. Life works better. It's not that it's just easy all the time, but you can feel the difference. How many have ever made a financial decision or bought something or who has ever done that, where you just feel a little ungrounded, a little chaotic, unsure, either before, during, or after the decision. I mean, I certainly have, you know, you just hit buy before you even want to think about it. Or how many of us have too much stuff? Right? Yeah. That's evidence of doing that, even if you didn't feel that. Because if we have too much of it, then that means we've acquired, whether that in different forms, things that we maybe don't want or need anymore. So I think that that's kind of evidence of the way it works when it's out of alignment. And how does it feel when we have too much stuff? I feel overwhelmed. Does anyone feel overwhelmed? Kind of weighted down even? Charisse, did you want to say anything?
No, yeah, I totally feel overwhelmed. And I think I look at something as simple as my closet. I have 3 closets full of clothes. I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do with all these clothes? And I'm just saying, okay, well, is it one of those things where you're going to get smaller, you'll eventually fit back into it? And then I just keep saying, oh gosh, I look at it as an abundance of stuff, but it's almost overwhelming because it's like, how do I tackle it and just start to get rid of like certain things? So yeah, it is a little overwhelming just having an abundance of stuff, but that's how I look at it. It is an abundance of stuff.
Right. Yeah. And there's a cost to that, right? There's a different cost to it. Carmelita wrote in the chat, heavy. It does feel heavy when we have so much stuff. And I think my hope is to bring, one of the things that attaching your values to your money decisions or your financial actions, whether you're paying a bill or purchasing something, is the mindfulness piece. It brings us into our conscious awareness. It just reminds us of something outside of the dopamine hit of buying something we really, really want, or that outfit we think we're going to look really cute in. All of those things. It's not that any of those are inherently good or bad, like Ella was saying. It's that we're reminded of who we are, our humanity, of who our best self is, and what we really prioritize and value. What are the things that are important to us? And so we can make better decisions for ourselves and then not have so much extra stuff. But it also doesn't mean have no stuff either. We're not talking about living, so minimally that, or, not having anything. It's about finding where that sweet spot, that harmonizing place is in our own lives for that. Sheila, did you want to add anything?
Oh, yeah. I was just, as you were saying that, I was just thinking about the other day, when my sisters visited, I have this gorgeous plant. I have an abundance of plants in my space because I have really nice lighting. And one aloe vera plant that had started out really small, but it's this big now. It's huge. It was starting to outgrow the space. So I gave it to one of my sisters and she was so delighted to have it. And it's kind of like, so part of my thought process was, sharing things with others is really wonderful, but also making room for or having spaciousness, because having a sense of spaciousness, I live in a studio. So it's like really important for me to have a sense of visual spaciousness when I'm here, because that gives me peace and comfort and ease, and I don't feel overwhelmed. This process of living in a small space makes it really important for me to, as I bring things in, I have to take something out because there's a finite amount of space that I have to work with. So I'm kind of forced into this way of letting things go, releasing things, letting things go, and figuring out what are the most important things that really enhance my life, that feel really good. That inviting beauty, creativity, and into every moment is one of my values. So it's like, okay, so is this helping me to feel that sense of beauty and creativity. Creativity comes from having the spaciousness to look around and my eyes can land on a spot and I don't feel that there's too much clutter, so I can really think and be. So it's like all of that is like, yes, I have an abundance. Sometimes you release things, but it's like I have enough that helps me to feel grounded and kind of just light. And that's really important in my space. So that really feels, comes in with the values, because it's all about what's going to energize me, what's going to give me that sense of peace and calm that I'm seeing. That's really important in this space that I don't get in the outside world. So when I come here, I want that. I need that.
Right. It's aligned, you know, the aligned abundance is what you're describing. And it's not based on the size of your space. It's based on kind of the heart of your space and the content of your space.
Oh, beautifully stated. I love that. The heart of my space. I really like that. Yes.
Yeah, I really, really believe that. So to begin to make aligned, abundant decisions, I mean, the first thing that's really important is to know what your values are and to be really clear about what they mean. And so in the little handout, the guide that I created, that's where we start, is writing down what your values are, because it's good. That's why we check in every month to remember that we know what our values are. And it's not that they don't change, especially Ella, because you're younger. The last time you did them, I think you were 19, you know, so they're going to change in your youth. And as you grow into yourself, some of them will, some of them won't, but they'll just kind of, probably the roots of them will be the same, but there'll be aspects of it that'll change. And for each of us, they'll adjust slightly as we grow up and age and get into different decades and chapters of our lives. But really knowing what they are and what they mean is very important. So in the guide, I have a place to write that down. Now, also, if we don't know all of our values or we're just not sure, I added a few to add in. I intentionally only added, I think there are only 12 in there, because this wasn't about finding the best one. It was about what felt the closest and just keeping it simple. Because you can get, I love words and I can get totally down a rabbit hole with a bunch of words. So we didn't want to do that. And then it's about conscious attention. Once we know our values, then it's like, it's trying to connect them to our decisions. Are we, you know, what are we going to buy at Trader Joe's? What clothes are we going to buy? Who made our clothes? Where did we find that? Oh, do I want to invest in this company or that company, that mutual fund or this mutual fund? Because once we start to kind of connect the dots to that, then we can better able to continue connecting the dots. It's like it builds on itself. So if I'm paying a bill, I'll remember a bill that I don't want to pay. Like I get really annoyed at Verizon every month because they have terrible customer service and they are overcharging me. I know it. But can I come from a place of gratitude that I have a phone, that I can talk to each of you, that I can, you know, text and stay in communication? And can I come from a place of gratitude, integrity? And then if integrity means me researching T-Mobile, I will go do that. It's on my list, but I haven't done it yet. If you haven't noticed, I got a text from Verizon saying, "Oh, your bill is ready. Thank you for telling me." So it's really about well-being, you know, like how important is well-being to you at the end of the day? Did I see a hand? Did anyone raise their hand? No.
No, Carmelita was laughing.
Oh, okay.
She did a little laughing emoji.
I thought I saw something from the corner of my, that's all. That's good. And so it's about bringing conscious attention. So I want you to take a minute now, and this is what's in the little guidebook, which is, which one of your values, if you can answer this, do you use when deciding what to buy or what to invest in or how to plan for your financial life? So for example, like integrity certainly comes up about who I want to buy from, where I want to buy something. I have sustainability or regenerative, which is another one of my values. That comes up a lot because I definitely want to try to minimize the waste that I bring into my home. So those are ones that I know come up quite a lot. Flourish too. Can I buy? Is it pretty? Do I like it? Is it something I want to look at? Like Sheila was talking about, does it light me up to see it? So, like I love my mug. It's Ella's mug, which I stole, but I love it. Stealing is not a value of mine. It's motherly borrowing, and that's a whole other thing, by the way. But it has an E and it reminds me of her, so I love it. Thank you, Ella. Do I get a smile? Okay. She's like, why are you using my mug? Not to
No,
embarrass.
it makes me happy that it makes you happy.
Okay, good. Aw. So would anyone like to share, or who would like to share about which value comes up at times when you're deciding to click buy, or have to make a decision about a job, or have to, or want to invest in a stock? Constant.
Well, looking at your list prompted the idea that one of my values that I resonate towards is security, and that making my decisions can be misguided values choices, because I'll think buying things will give me security, that my things around me, I remember when I lived in Santa Monica in a small room and I had all these books, and I was like, I'll be in my bliss if I die in an earthquake and this bookshelf falls on me, like just with all my books. I'm dying with all my books and life is good. Like that's like misguided security. Like, is this really security, or is my security having some money in the bank? And so to think of that value for me and to think it through to a little deeper to, but is it really supporting
Yes.
this value? You know, just
Exactly.
like Sheila was saying, if you go with the value sparks joy and you see this thing and it sparks joy, but will it spark joy in the space if you want abundant space? You know, so to kind of think through. And thanks for the handout. It's very thought out and good to go dive deeper into the whole topic.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Thank you for that insight. It's so powerful, right? Like, what does security really mean to you? And that's why we have the section in the intensive around the definitions, like really defining what security is. Because I remember seeing an Esther Perel video where she talked about because I look for security too, but extreme security can be stuckness, right? And so, like you said, we can get stuck in our attempts for security. And so where is that line where it's not gone too far and stepped out away from what brings us to our humanity, what brings us to our joy and our lightness in that realm? And so it's a good question to ask yourself. And I think that's where the pausing comes in, right? There's like the instant security, and then there's the long-term security. And when you have your definition for your value, then you really know what it is. And we'll see if security is actually the value, or if it's another word that or phrase that may be a better fit for you too. Because that's where
I also like the idea of putting or looking at the current values, your current values, and seeing how you apply it to money, because sometimes there's old values that no longer serve me, or limiting beliefs on money that my values override in a positive way and creates a positive relationship
right.
with the money. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's a really good point. That's actually the next section of the guide, is talking about some of those beliefs that affect our decisions that we make, that they come from sometimes intergenerational family beliefs, and that they creep in ways we don't really believe. You know, part of my family emigrated from it was Russia at the time, but Ukraine, and during the pogroms were Jewish, and they had to leave in the middle of the night out of safety. Real violence had occurred to the family. They left their home, they left all their belongings, they left everything. So I certainly grew up with that kind of intergenerational fear of don't have anything because it's about you're going to have to leave it or be taken. You have to have a house. You have to, like if you have it, it's going to go away. It's not enough. Don't do this. Like it was a very fear-based approach to security even. And so I've had to kind of unpack that a little as going on, because the beliefs can get in the way, which is why the values conversation opens it up. It brings that, and rather than having to like go into the trauma, which can be done under other circumstances, the values offer a different pathway and lens to see things, to say, oh, wait, that's not, I'm bumping up against something here that's not feeling right. Oh, that's my fear, or that's my overextended security coming up because of the fear, rather than it being about, oh, I want to move in this direction because it's alignment with integrity or flourish. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? If not, ask a question, because I know it might be a little abstract in my wordiness.
I was just thinking there's so many nuances to this, and there's so many layers. It kind of takes me back to the original comment that you made, Carmelita, about taking so long to get to a place of integration, and how this is all about the values work that we're constantly doing is about integration, and there's so many layers to it. And what you were saying, Constance, about really challenging yourself to ask those questions. Is this really it? Or is this coming from a place of fear? Or is this coming from a place of generational kind of a trauma, or the way that I've been thinking about it because this is how I grew up thinking about money or whatever else? Is it truly belong to me, or is it, there's like all of this. I mean, this is like a lot of stuff to like attack, because it's like you get to the point of saying, oh, this is my value, or I want to do this, or I'm doing this for security, I'm doing this for beauty. And then what's underneath that? Like, is it enough just to, because it might be that part of you that really isn't serving you well anymore, or isn't speaking in your best interest, that you think might be the thing that this is my value. But if you go deeper, if you just take more time, and that's what I love about this guide, it insists on having you take a deeper look at why you're doing what you're doing, and making sure that it really belongs to you. And is it right? Is it right? Is it the path that's going to lead you to that clarity of making decisions about abundance, about whatever else it is, with your values really leading the way, versus fears, versus upbringing, versus all the other stuff that factors into our consciousness all the time that we're constantly having to unpack. And that's the beauty of going through this process, I think.
Yeah. Well articulated, Sheila. Thank you.
Sure.
And it does take a long time, because we're complex human beings, and we have so many parts of us. I'm a Gemini, so I run around. More than one of me. Constance is too, so there are many of us running around, or at least two,
That's at least 4 people. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's true.
I just say, like, for me, one thing that I've learned that I actually really value is the ability to take time. I just, I cannot understand how people move so fast. Even in their hour lunch, they can get like 20 things done when I'm just getting one thing done. And so at this point, I just have to respect myself and understand that I move a little slower. I actually have this little, I found this little rattle at the secondhand shop that I like to shop at, talking about stuff. But I've been real intentional about stuff. But this just kind of reminds me, like, yo, you Carmelita, you're just gonna have to dance to this tune, and it's a little slower than the average person, So that's how this course has helped me to discover that that is one of my values, is that I just value being able to take my time
Yeah.
with things.
Yeah. That is so beautiful and poignant in this
Mhm.
conversation around money, because it's counter to what so much of culture, at least in this country, perpetuates. And so that's where you can, that is being in aligned abundance, you know, creating the space and honoring that value of yours about taking time.
Mhm.
That's what it means to live in aligned abundance.
Mm.
And knowing that and trusting that. I mean, that's where it also takes time. It's taken time for me to trust that, like, okay, if that's what it really means for me to flourish, to go a little slower and not just achieve, right? I mean, that's what started me on this values path. I found myself on an achievement path, and I didn't even know what I was achieving or where I was going. Like, I was just going so fast, so far, you know, and it wasn't at all in alignment with me or who I am. And so that's where I started to go, wait, how am I so off track here? And I was living somebody else's values, likely my parents and culture. And so that's why an important part of the values work that is done here is, are these my values? And so what it sounds like for you, Carmelita, because I know you do amazing things and you're creative and have projects going, but knowing that you take the time you need to and recognizing that is such, is so astoundingly beautiful and powerful. Because that's, it's kind of, it's gonna sound funny, but it's like almost revolutionary in today's world to be able to acknowledge that and not like not do things either, right? Because you're still accomplishing what you need to do or acknowledging, you know, moving forward with things, but it's being able to do it on our own timeline. Listen, I've tried to rush timelines before. It doesn't work anyway.
I mean, I'm just saying, I've tried it, you know,
It'll work.
I've tried to accelerate this thing to make it look better for me, you know, but this is the story.
I hear ya. It just doesn't. It goes at its own pace and time, and that's what we can trust. But, you know, nature does too, right? If we look to nature for our cues as well, you know, the trees are seasonal. We can't rush it anymore. I mean, they've tried, don't get me, you know, with all sorts of different genetically modified things, but it doesn't mean that it's healthy for the world or us. But you can't really rush it. It takes what it takes. Yeah.
And all the seasons are important too.
Right. To that end.
All of them are important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And necessary. Yeah.
So the other pieces to the guide that are in here, but there are many ways to, I mean, this is like a long conversation, and if there are other specific questions, I'll just finish up what it says here, which is that after you've kind of like explored some of the ways that other things may have influenced your framework around money, it's to kind of, rather than, you know, there's one way to do it, which is what we talked about so far. It's like when you're out and about or when you're making a decision, attach it to a value. The flip side of that is looking at your values and how they dictate where you are going to go. So one of my first clients is a woman who is Amber Valletta, who's a supermodel and an actress. And she came to me not knowing what she wanted to do next, in addition to modeling and acting. And so rather than just like pick something that everyone is telling her to do, everyone was telling her to start your own fashion brand. This was back in 2010, around that. Start your own fashion brand. Instead of doing that, she came to me, and what we did instead was we determined what her core values were. And then from her core values, built a business that aligned with her. And she's still doing it today, has become a thought leader in the space of fashion and sustainability. And I've had the pleasure of being able to work with her these past 14 years in building that out. And so the last part of this is, okay, start with what your values are, since, you know, or what you're, to the best of your ability, what that list is, and then put a financial goal attached to that and 3 actions you can take for that. Now that may be a financial goal to me can be related to time. It can be if it's something like self-care is one of your values or flourish, make sure I have the space to rest. It doesn't have to be only around money, but it is related to finances because time and money and can be, constant sort of time is money. In many ways it is. Yes, I bill hourly often. So, and if it's not money, then they're saying deliverables. I mean, I could go crazy with the people telling you how to think about time and money. But it is, time is money. So when we start to think about it in that way, we can attach a goal or a desire to a value.
Mhm.
And what does that look like? And then you can list 3 actions to take. So does anyone who might have an idea about what that would look like or wants to share that?
But what would look like an
If
action?
you took a value and created a goal attached to that value.
Well, for me, if I took the value security, the goal for me would be to start in little increments, investing in retirement and in the future,
Mhm.
because that brings security
Right.
to me.
Excellent. Yeah. And then what are 3 actions you could take towards that?
Well, one is to put the values of security and other values in my wallet for when I go to pay for something.
Yeah. Right. Yes. But I think you're right. That's the pause. Like the pause allows that remembering to come. The pause allows us to go, oh, wait, which security am I talking about? The quick fix security or the deeper security of something that I know I really want for myself. Yeah. That's beautiful and a fabulous example of that. Does anyone else workshop one or try one that they have?
Get Sharice. No, I'm just kidding. Look, I want to put you on the spot I'm still trying to get you for that. No, for that table topics, even though I had all kind of thoughts after. But anyways,
you did a wonderful job. I just want you to know you did a wonderful job with that table topic answer. So yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so in terms of like time, because I'm realizing that is one of my values, is being able to take my time, being able to relax into things. And so in order to make that happen though, I definitely have to honor and respect time. I know that that's just something that's coming up for me. Like in order for that to really work, that does not mean you don't make it, you don't prioritize deadlines. And I'm not saying that's been the case, but I want to be more respectful and thoughtful of time. And then also, just another thing that I feel is critical to make that value in alignment is to just prepare a little more, even at night. Like last night, I was so happy I set my clothes out. I left the shirt hanging up, so I had to pull it, but just to do little things to get me on that path of being respectful, because I'm okay with being a little slower. So yeah, that's just the work that I think is going to go into aligning with that value.
Spot on. That's, yeah. How does that feel when you say that?
It feels authentic. It feels empowering.
Yeah.
Because I know that it's just growth, it's maturity. And I was hoping that, what was your young lady's name again? Your daughter?
Ella.
Ella.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to let Ella know that she's lucky. She's a lucky woman to have mom, for one, teaching her this stuff at 19, because it may go like this, but I hope she catches it, right now. But yeah, I think this is great. This is a great reminder to just be okay with who I am and where I'm at, and in the things that I value. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that very much and take that all in a lot. And it's beautiful to hear that conversation about time, because I think it's so poignant to have around the conversation about money. Because so much of what we move through, or what is dictated to us. I got off of social media yesterday. I don't know if you relate to this. So like one of the things for me, if I'm looking at my time, which it is for Flourish, would be something like that, to track my time and be clearer. I was on social media and I lost like a half an hour, and I got off of social media and I just was like, okay, so now I've got to meditate. I do all these things anyway, but it was like this feeling of so many things I have to do to be okay in this world, right? Like I have to make sure I get to the gym. I have to make sure I do resistance training. I have to make sure I don't have this or that, and eat this and don't eat that. And, make sure I'm in forgiveness and make sure I'm doing, like, I was like, oh my God. I do these things, but this isn't to add anything for you to do, what we're talking about here. This is to helpfully clear that out. And what I wanted to say is I need to remove Instagram and Facebook from my phone, because, it just starts to make me, I lose myself in it sometimes. Well, it's not just me, because it's designed that way. It's literally, that's the purpose of it. So it's like kind of walking into a mind altering, cavern. And so am I willingly going to do that or not? So anyway, but to your point, that would be an action I would need to take as well, to like, that's a concrete thing for me to do when I'm thinking about my time, and tracking time too. But like when you said, planning, putting your clothes up, like that's such an amazing thing to do for yourself. That's a concrete action to show yourself that you're living in alignment with your values. That is an action of aligned abundance. And that's what I'm hoping to connect today, is that it's not out here, it's not over there, aligned abundance. It's actually right here in our lives, in this moment. And we can chart a path to it to have more alignment. Because that's really where the success lies, I believe. The key to happiness, the joy, all of that. Charisse, did you want to play? With one?
I don't think I have anything. I don't have anything just yet, because
Okay. If you want, you could pick a value from, because I know, jumping on and off, you could say like, I'm not putting you on the spot to like, I better know my values, just more like to engage in the conversation, engage in the process, but you don't have to. But if in the workbook or in the guidebook, there are some words here. If there is one that resonates with you, you could pick and say, oh, okay, I want to see how that would be aligned with me and my money.
Let me pull it up.
I could put it up on the screen share. Do you want me to do that?
No, because I think I have it on a different web browser.
Okay. So it's on the first page.
Yeah, I see it. I don't know. Accountability is a good one, but I think
What about adventure for you?
adventure is
Snowboarder.
adventure is definitely one that I would adopt. But then how do I tie that into the money aspect, as far as, well, I know it takes money to do all of these adventures that I'm going all over the world doing.
Right. Yeah. And time, I would say time would fall into that, because you work, your schedule, and you do so much service work and volunteer work too. So what would be a goal around adventure for you that would be tied to time or money, let's say? Is it creating a certain budget? Is there somewhere you really want to go that you haven't gone before?
everywhere I want to go, it's just not a good time for travel.
Yeah,
You know, I want to go to Egypt. It's just not a good time.
great time to go to that part of the
time
world.
to
Yeah.
travel. I would love to go see the different architecture in Russia. It's just not a good time to,
Yeah, it's
to
not,
travel over there. But
but you could still, I mean, it's not gonna last forever. You could still play with it, you know, one of those ideas just for the sake of it.
yeah,
And, you know, if you put down Egypt, you want to go to Egypt. You know, what are 3 actions to take? You know, pray for peace. One,
Number one.
number one,
right? Yeah.
check out an action item could be just look up how much the plane fare would be.
Great.
Mhm.
Right. Exactly. So the point I wanted to make is that when we, like, you could plan your trip to Egypt without attaching it to your values and have a great time. But when you take your value and use that lens to see your trip to Egypt, it amplifies it to feel that much better.
Mhm.
And that's what I call aligned abundance. It's that feeling of going, oh, I'm doing it from this way forward. I am living my truth and my authentic value of adventure by going to Egypt. And then the actions I'm taking towards that goal are also in alignment with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see how that could tie in to living in a alignment in abundance in an abundant way.
Yeah. And it's just, again, like the aim, a lot of it is well-being. The aim, there's a lot of talk about well-being, but like not necessarily concrete ways to get there. And this is a path to really get there. And the reflection I've had back from people, and even Carmelita talked about it too, it's like when you start to do it from the values lens, when you go from the values first, values-based, values-driven lens to do these things, it amplifies it. It like puts it on like a vivid filter where it just feels brighter, clearer, dynamic. We're more confident, empowered. I heard, you know, those are the words I hear: brighter, joyful,
Mhm.
as opposed to what we talked about earlier: heavy, overwhelm,
Right.
right? Um, weighted down, those type
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah. You know, that makes me really think about senior citizens, you know, how a lot of elders, my elders, I admire them for being, because they are usually tell it like it is. They and they do what they want to do. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they are okay in their value system. They've lived long enough. So that's why I really want to lock this in too, because I missed that 19, that 19, 20, 21 era to do this in. So hopefully I can do this now, really harness these values, because like you said, even, I mean, it's an epiphany even right now, how strong I've gotten just based off doing this work. And it is amazing, because when I first started, and on this journey, I didn't really even know what my values were. So I had some idea, but this is good work. And I think that, when we're talking about money, it's a critical piece right now, especially. And so I do value that as well. I value having enough to take that trip, or to buy that wig, or to,
100%.
so yeah, I think that this is a good highlight to talk about money, because I also just was reading a report on women and girls. St. Mary's is a college. If you live in this area, LA area, you should try to get over there to that college. It's a beautiful college, by the way. It's called St. Mary's. It's a hidden gem. And but they put on this report on women and girls, and it was just revealed, this might not be new news, but just all the ways we're taxed as women. The pink tax, I hadn't heard of that. but maybe you ladies have. I was not aware. I was like, what? We're being taxed that way. Of course, I knew our bras and panties cost way too much for that little piece of cloth that we have to have, most of us. And like our just everything, our healthcare is we pay more in healthcare, we pay more, we make less. These are things I think we all might be privy to, but I think this is a critical time to have this kind of conversation, because then we can align ourselves that way to kind of get those energies working for us too, Mhm. So yeah, that's just what I see.
Yeah, I mean, that's beautifully said. And it's taking all those things into consideration and then charting our own course so that
Mhm.
we're not blocked in by them. Right? They may be the way things are, and I'm not talking, but we can kind of look into ourselves to come out. So we're creating our own sovereignty in that.
Mhm.
When we identify what our values are and then build our lives and make our financial decisions from our values, we're kind of stepping out of the framework that tries to box us in.
And does a good job of boxing us in too,
It
by
does
the
a
way.
good job. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't affect us. I'm not denying that it's there. It's totally there. I can attest to it. I have more experience in it than I would like to admit, but I admit it. But if I can step out of it, it gives me different ideas of some way to see the world, because I'm going from my values. So remember what my values are. They connect me to my highest self. They connect me to my humanity and my divine self. They connect us me to both. So I can acknowledge it without only staying in it, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we're right about there, but and the last thing on here, which Constance was referring to, was the last step you have is place your values in a place where you can see them and refer to them, and make a note of when you did use them for before decision, because that each time you do, it builds on itself. I
Mhm.
get ideas by talking to you. I don't talk about this because I do it perfectly. I hardly at all. That's not true. I just do it as best I can. And when I do, I feel a whole lot better. And that's what I want to give to or share with each of you to the best of my ability. Sheila, any final thoughts as we end today?
Oh, I was just saying, gorgeous. What a wonderful conversation. This has been it always is. It just sparks so many things for me. And I love the context. I love the participation. I love this whole point of looking at your values from the point of abundance, and how really finding the ways in which that shows up in your life, particular to you. And I love that the word that I'm left with is honoring. It's really honoring that journey, honoring what's right for you, honoring what's most important, and then having your values uplift in that way and contribute to your abundance.
Right.
Wonderful, wonderful work that you did today.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you each for participating so dynamically and wonderfully today.
Yeah.
It really enriches the experience of being here, the topic, right? Because this is a rich topic. Aligned abundance is,
Yes.
not just like a one and done, we're done for an hour. This is something we can continue talking about. And I think each of you are in the community. Are you in the Core Values Connection? Because I go online every Wednesday at 4:00 for what I call a weekly values check-in. You guys are all grandfathered in. So if you ever want to tune in, go into the Mighty Networks Core Values Connection, and I do a 4 to 4:30 values check-in, and I'm there every week. So you can bring questions, specific ideas, things like that. And I also do custom workshops too. So if you have like 3 or more people who would want to do the values work, I'm happy to create something special too. Because I think it's hard to schedule things that's the hardest thing. Speaking of time.
Let's do some more of this aligned abundance. I'd like to do it again soon,
Yeah.
just because it's such a
We
rich
can
topic.
do it next month too. This could be a 2-parter.
Yeah, there's
You
just so
guys,
much
do you want to
more.
do that? Do you want to take the month and try to see what it's like to work through the workbook and or guidebook and see? And meet again in July?
I like that.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me too. Yeah?
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay, so put in your calendars. We'll be here, same time, same place, different month. With a little more abundant and a little more aligned abundance in our life.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So this is the
Mm.
end of part 1. Stay tuned for part 2.
All righty.
Yeah, so good to see all of
Alright.
you.
Thank you all. So good
Oh,
to
thank
see you.
you. This is
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you, Constance. You too,
Good to
Cherise,
see
All right. Nice
everyone.
to see you.
Sheila,
Have a good
Absolutely.
week.
Amy.